Welcome to your best bets. Super Bowl week is here, and we got a busy lineup of shows. We are talking about Super Bowl props tonight, and later on in the week, I'm going to have uh, Zach Fitzgerald on to talk about the actual game and some storylines and some legacy type. What does this mean for this player? Those kind of things. But I enjoy this show so much. We did it last year with Rich Trojanowski, and he is back again this year to talk about the Super Bowl props, MVPs, weird novelty props, what color the Gatorade is going to be, all that stuff. Rich, how are we from the great state of Texas? Are you excited about Kyrie Irving coming to Texas?
Oh yeah, and I heard that today. Wow, I mean, two egotistical players on. I guess it's normal for the NBA, but like Luca and Kyrie. I mean, come on, we'll see how it
Are,
works. I don't know. Hey,
are,
it's a pleasure. Yeah.
yeah. Are you insinuating Luca's got a big ego too?
Oh yeah, that dude is like
Yeah.
feisty, doing all sorts of tricks. And come on, too much.
I can't wait to see it on the court because it just doesn't seem like a great fit, but maybe they'll figure it out and they'll score 75 a game between them and they'll make a run in the playoffs. But we're here to talk about the Super Bowl. We ran this show last year and it was a lot of fun and it just made sense to bring you back. And I think we both like digging into these a little bit and finding an angle or two for people to bet on. Like we said, whether it's some weird stuff or if it's the popular stuff about like the quarterbacks, the MVP, whatever. Um, I'm wildly interested in this game. And I think I don't know how you went about this, but or how other people will go about this, but I think when you pick and bet on some props, like you kind of have to pick a game flow of how you think the game's going to go. Like for me, my angle was the Chiefs are going to throw the ball a lot, and a lot of my props are built around the Chiefs throwing the ball. Um, but it doesn't always go that way, and if it goes against what my expected game flow is, I'll probably be in trouble. Is that how you kind of went about throwing these together?
Yeah, no, I think same thing last year. Like I was going heavy on what McPherson to have, a kick at the end, and like I really had. I think that's the best way to look at these prop bets is that you want to know what you think is going to happen, and hopefully that's what
Yeah.
moves forward. Like any other bet. But yeah, I think looking at prop bets, you definitely want to know who you're trying to think is going to win the game because a lot of these prop bets that I have here are about, first score, half of
Yeah.
the quarter, and then in the end, it works out that way better. I don't know. It's tough with prop bets, but I think having a direction of which team is going to do what is much better for sure.
The I think the big storyline to the coming into the game is the question mark with both quarterbacks, Mahomes' ankle and Hurts' shoulder. I don't know if we really will have any clarity on the situation throughout the whole week. Last time we saw Mahomes, he was really struggling in the fourth quarter, but the very last time we saw him make a play was him somehow sprinting out of bounds for 12 yards plus a late hit.
Yeah.
And but Jalen Hurts, I don't know if we really learned anything about the condition of his shoulder because he really didn't have to make a lot of throws against the 49ers. And when he did have to throw it on the field, he didn't look particularly great. Um, so
Yeah, and they
that's
ran for like 260 yards
right,
or something against the Giants. Yeah,
right.
barely threw the ball.
Yeah. Dynamic running team, the Eagles are. And so definitely things to consider when you're trying to think about what to put together this week. Chiefs are favored by a point and a half in this game. It's fluctuated from anywhere from the Chiefs starting to get 3.5 when it first opened, all the way down to maybe one. Now it's back to 1.5. I think we're just going to open it up with the quarterbacks with Pat Mahomes and Jalen Hurts. What type of passing props did you like or in this game, or did you like for one of the quarterbacks?
Yeah, definitely like a pass attempts. Okay. So Jalen's at 31 and a half over under. Granted, you're not getting much back, but the under is at negative 105. So it's certainly decent to think that if they just run the ball and that's a game plan, then it's highly likely that he's going to throw less than 30 passes. And I think what the last few games he has thrown way less than 30 passes.
Hmm.
I'm trying to find it, but like it's just there's a stat there that is available to Jalen not throwing the ball a lot. And I really think that he's going to run more than he's going to pass. And even though it's going to be a very tight game, back and forth is what I think. But of course, we always think that with Super Bowls, right? Like we always want it to be this, and whether it happens or not. But I think the fact that that they're going to run the ball will be their game plan is what I'm going with. And under 31 and a half on Jalen is there, and even the over 38 and a half for Patrick is still also there because they're not going to run the ball nearly as much. And those are the two things that I think with those two quarterbacks is that Jalen's not going to have to do as much, and Patrick is going to have to do more, through the air.
I had written down over 38 and a half for Mahomes. Obviously, that's a tough number at minus 140.
Yeah,
Um, but if maybe you're putting the same game parlay together, that might be one of those boosters that you could throw in there. I don't know a scenario where the Chiefs don't throw the ball a lot. And, um, I like Pacheco a lot, but I don't know if they're necessarily going to be pounding him for 20 rush attempts this game. So I don't really see anything outside the Chiefs just throwing a lot of short passes like they did against the Bengals. So I love that one. I could definitely see the Hurts under 31 and a half. And I think in conjunction with that, I know his rush attempts were over 10 and a half. I wonder if it is just one of those Eagles heavy run games where it's Sanders and they throw in Gainwell and Scott and Hurts gets his runs as well. So I don't mind that. I there was a stat that I saw that I think it was of the 13 or 14 opponents against the Chiefs this season, the opposing quarterbacks have thrown 2 touchdown passes or more. And the only couple were one was I think it was Bryce Perkins from the Rams, the game where they were just throwing quarterbacks out there. He didn't. So usually when the Chiefs play someone, the opposing quarterback has at least a reasonable game throwing the ball as far as efficiency and touchdowns. So I actually think
yeah,
I could see Hurts throwing less, but still throwing 2 touchdowns. So I had circled Hurts over 1.5 touchdown passes,
that's good.
uh, minus 105 on that one. I'm just going
Yeah,
with
and
the trends of what the season has played out to be for the Chiefs defense so far. Great,
well,
great,
also
great.
they have
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
they have rookies playing in the secondary, and that one corner is not going to play maybe, and it's just like yeah, I mean obviously the ability is there for him with two star and three people to throw the ball to, receiver, tight end wise, and obviously running backs as well. But yeah, I mean 1.5 over is certainly a good one.
Yeah, it's exactly what I was going to say with the secondary of the Chiefs being so young. We know that their pass rush is dynamic with Chris Jones, Frank Clark, but I think their secondary is clearly vulnerable. Um, this was a tasty one that I like. I'm not usually a guy that bets the minus 115s and the minus 120s. I'm usually looking
Mhm.
for something valuable. Patrick Mahomes to throw a touchdown pass in the first quarter plus 155. That's going to be an auto bet for me, especially if a situation where the Chiefs get the ball first. I'd feel really good about that if I know they're getting the ball first, just going down and scoring. A Mahomes to Kelsey touchdown right away. I like that for plus 155. I like those plus numbers that just make me feel better instead of having to deal with that extra juice from the sports book.
Definitely.
What else do you got from a passing standpoint for either pass or anything?
Yeah, I'm looking at also interceptions. It's
Hmm.
only a point 0.5, so it's not anything to take, but I do believe that there is opportunity for this sleeping defense of the Eagles to, at least get one um,
Hmm.
turnover, which over is only negative 110 and not terrible. Pat, pair that with the parlay if you can, and I think that they're certainly going to get at least one pick for sure from Mahomes.
Been susceptible to some turnovers this year. Uh, and fascinating with their receiver situation. It's and we'll talk about it when we get to the receiving props. It's just been so hard to pin down who's going to be the second guy from game to game after Kelsey. Some games it's been Juju. Some games like last game it was Valdez Scantling, but there's just not that consistent second threat that you can count on.
Yeah, once
Um,
I lost Tyreek, yeah.
exactly. Um, the Eagles are one of the best rushing teams in the league. We know that. Miles Sanders, to me, it feels like a nice, it's a really nice number for an over. His numbers right now at over 59 and a half. That's at minus 125. I, 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 I don't know. I mean, I shouldn't say I don't know how he doesn't reach that number, but I don't know how he doesn't reach that number in this game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, are they? Oh, gosh, you really got to. I'm more on Jalen's rushing numbers than
Okay.
his rushing numbers are still. I mean, he's only 10 yards behind him, which is odd. Like he
Yeah.
really has not rushed that much in the last few games, maybe because he's been hurt or whatnot. But
Mhm.
the under for him at 49 and a half at negative 110, certainly there. So you're saying the over at 59 and a half at negative 125,
Yeah.
Miles
Yeah.
Sanders?
Yeah. Yeah. I just, and this is more just a game flow, how I think the Eagles are going to want to play. Um, I mean, there are some gaping holes against the 49ers. I mean, one of the better defenses in the league, and I just think that the Eagles would prefer to run the ball if they can.
Okay, so he has reached over 49, right? That's the number? 40, 59. One, two, three out of the last five. So certainly there, sure.
Yeah, and you know what? Actually, looking at his numbers from the 49ers game, it was he only carried the ball 11 times. First of all,
Yeah,
for
yeah, it's
42.
odd. Yeah.
But I guess I'm thinking back a little bit more to the Giants game, how well they ran the ball. But I'll be taking Miles Sanders over. You like Hurts, which I can't necessarily not like that because we talked about that game flow of just Hurts throwing less, potentially running more, 11, 12 runs, something like that on the table. And when he scrambles, it's chunk yardage, right? 12 here, 15
Yeah,
here. And that's what's going to add up to an over 50-yard rushing game, I would think.
which is really cool because you can do these like alternate rushing yard things, and it says Jalen Hurts to get more than 50 plus is negative 135, but yet his over is only negative 120. So got to keep that in mind, that you're going to get a better deal just playing just what they set as the over under instead of trying to pick these alternate rushing ones.
The one I like the best from a rushing prop standpoint is Jarek McKinnon under. Um, he is
21 and a half.
21 and a half. He's just been kind of phased out of the offense with the inclusion of Pacheco, even in the receiving game, as we saw in the AFC Championship game. Um, uh, 1 yard rushing against the Bengals for McKinnon in the AFC Championship game. And for the last five, he hasn't even gotten over 10 yards. So I am it's the stone cold lock for me, Jarek McKinnon under rushing yards in the Super Bowl.
And that's paying. No.
That is at minus 130. So again, it's not a great number, but $130 to win 100.
Yeah.
High rollers out there. Any
Is that you?
anything else you like from a rushing or running back standpoint or a rushing yard standpoint?
So let's talk about Mahomes. So
Oh yeah,
he is
yes,
not going to rush much, right? Like what last two games, he has not been rushing much at all.
right.
So at 20 and a half
Mm-hmm.
yards, I mean that'd be one big run maybe and then nothing else. And I think definitely the under on 20 and a half is where I'd be at. They're both, minus 115. So
Yeah,
picking it, I'm going under 20 and a half for Mahomes for sure.
I had that circled as well. I also had Mahomes' longest rush under 11 and a half yards. That's at minus
Hmm.
125. So I
I
will
don't know, man.
pair.
That's the first down right there.
Yep, yep. And again, maybe we look foolish. Maybe that ankle is maybe it's completely better after
Yeah.
two weeks after the AFC title game. But
It's a
um,
high ankle sprain.
right, those are normally 6, 7, 8 week injuries. So I don't think he's going to want to run still, and so I'm with you on the under 20 and a half. Um, receivers,
Yeah.
who do you like
So we
here?
got to talk about their two star wide receivers, AJ and Devontae. I mean,
Yep.
they're going to get the ball. So I think most of the games have been, one of them does really well, the other one doesn't do that well. And
Hmm.
who out of those two are you going to pick to for receiving yards, I guess? But even going to receptions,
Hmm.
give me AJ Brown over 5.5, paying positive numbers at plus 110. I like him getting more than 5.5 for sure.
AJ, he's not been impactful so far in the playoffs. I'm just putting that out there. He's
And
not.
that's why.
He's what has he done? He has had against San Francisco 4 for 28, and against the Giants 3 for 22. That could just mean he's due.
Okay, so yeah. So what about before then? Okay, let's see. Box score. Here we go. Boy, they played the Giants right before they played the Giants again. You know.
Yeah. Yes.
So he's sitting at
The
four
pre
again.
the
Okay.
last what
So,
the last 4 regular season games he had over 90 yards each game. Right.
but less than I'm talking about receptions. So,
Of the five and a
oh,
half.
he's
Yeah.
not getting them though, and that's tough. But that's why I guess why they're paying positive odds. But I mean, there's
Yeah.
no way like he's not shining in this incredible atmosphere he's never been in, and he's ready, and they're going to throw the ball to him against a suspect Kansas City secondary. I mean, I think those two wide receivers are going to have their share for sure.
See, I went the other side. I went Devontae. I went Devontae over on all of it. Over
So 5.5 as well,
and
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 yards
the
are
61 and a
61
half.
and a half.
I feel best about the yards. The receptions I could take or leave. I would pair it with an anytime touchdown from Devontae Smith. Um, it's I feel like maybe there's a bit more focus on AJ from the defensive standpoint. Anytime touchdown for Devontae is at plus 155. Um, again, I feel like one of these guys is going to have an impactful game, so maybe one of us will be right.
Yeah, AJ for sure. Okay, so Kansas City receiving. Whew, I mean, I guess Travis Kelsey.
Yeah,
What other wide receivers are going to be on there?
this goes back to my point of just good luck figuring out who that guy's going to be. Um,
Yeah.
here's the guy I want it to be, and I am going to place this bet because I like the upside of what he could provide, but he really hasn't yet since they acquired him. It's Kadarius Toney. Um, I'm going to bet him for the most receiving yards in the game at plus 1800. Just pure upside alone because I feel like he's got that deep threat ability and that big game changing player too. But it also wouldn't surprise me if Kadarius Toney caught 2 balls for like 12 yards because
Yeah.
that's kind of what he's done since the Chiefs have acquired him. It's a boomer bust.
Yeah, and I've played him in some of the daily fantasy sports. I get to play here in Texas. I don't get to make real bets, but and he's been great the last few weeks. Like, I mean, what was he? When did they acquire him? Um,
Season.
8, 9? Yeah, in week 9 they got him, and then he was hurt.
I mean, he got hurt early in the Bengals game last or 2 weeks ago. He only caught 1 ball. Should have caught a touchdown actually, the first touchdown. He's only had a game where against the Broncos he had 4 for 71. There's not been a lot outside of that. So I again, that is a total boomer
Whew.
bust play. But from
Yeah,
a Chiefs receiver standpoint, I mean, who isn't? I mean, it's probably
yeah.
Valdez Scantling's the guy that's been most consistent, but I wouldn't want to bet. I wouldn't want to put money on his overs on anything.
No, yeah. Now, so I guess talking about Travis Kelsey for a minute, I
Yeah,
guess. I mean, he's reception 7.5. I mean, gosh,
that's a
dang,
lot.
so
That's
high.
a lot.
That's 79.5 as well in yards. Oof. I don't know. I guess I'd probably stay away from Kelsey or any wide receivers at all in general. It's just gonna be a toss up. I mean, if Mahomes is gonna win the game, it's gonna be on. I think it's gonna be on scrambling, and it's gonna be him winning with an amazing throw to some random wide receiver that we're not thinking about.
It's yeah. It's just hard to predict who that's going to be. Now, I mentioned Stone Cold Lock, Jarek McKinnon under rushing yards. This one's close to a Stone Cold Lock over Isaiah Pacheco receiving yards.
14 and a half.
14 and a
Wow.
half. Um,
Oof.
Now, he hasn't been most of the season heavily involved in the pass game until recently. And I mean, he was sort of the main reason they got to the AFC, they got through the AFC title game. I mean, he caught 5 passes for 59 yards. He made some really huge broken. I mean, a couple of those passes, he broke some huge tackles to get an extra 5, 6, 7 yards. Um, so most of the season he did not hit this number, but I'm just going with the trends. I think they realize what he provides when he's out there. Um, so I feel pretty good about him getting over that.
What's his total yards, receiving plus rushing? He is at 69 and a half. Wow. And he's put that up the last, wow, well, he put it up last game for sure, but I don't
Yeah,
know
he
the
was at
other ones
80,
before that.
80, 85 last game and 101 against the
Yeah.
Jaguars.
Yeah. I mean, he's definitely part of their game plan, no doubt. They're just not giving you good enough odds. I mean, over 69.5 total rushing receiving is only minus 105. So that's not a
unless
bad.
unless you take the alt number on DraftKings. They have a Pacheco alternate rushing and receiving 75
Hmm.
plus is at plus
Yeah.
135.
135. Yeah.
If you think he has a monster game and he has 100 total yards, that's at plus 360. And those
See,
are kind
that's
of
that's that's certainly enticing. I mean, that's only what, 5 more yards, 6 more yards, and they're giving you positive odds there. That's
mhm,
great.
yeah.
I like
Yeah.
that. I like Isaiah Pacheco doing well in this game.
What about the Eagles' two backup running backs, Gainwell and Scott? They get a lot of play. It seems like one of those guys scores a rushing touchdown one game to the next. Do you like either one of them to do anything impactful in this game? Looks like Scott's at over 7.5 rushing yards and Gainwell's over 19 and a half.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, oh gosh, rushing with them is just like the receivers in Kansas City, right? I mean, they're just going to either give it to Jalen or Sanders, and that's going to be the main thing. And then the other two are going to be crapshoots, I'm not willing to go anywhere on those at all. Maybe some rushing yards for Gainwell.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like Gainwell makes a nice play or two most games, and then it feels like Scott is kind of the touchdown vulture. Rich,
Oh
before
yeah.
before before we move past the receiving props, I do want to throw this out there for the Chiefs. I was reading that they run more 12 and 13 personnel down inside the 5 yard line than any other team. That's two or three tight end sets. So we talk about Travis Kelsey, of course. His to score a touchdown number is ludicrous, and anytime touchdown is minus 130. But I'm looking at the other tight ends from the Chiefs, Noah Gray, or even going down the charts to Blake Bell for anytime touchdowns. Blake Bell's at 19 to 1, plus 1900 for a touchdown, while Noah Gray's at plus 700. I I'm probably gonna take a bite out of one of those two, and take my chances and just think that the focus will be on Kelsey on one of these play action passes, and Mahomes finds one of these two other tight ends. Noah Gray only scored once during the season. Of course, Blake Bell only scored once, but that's fine. I'm going to take a chance on one of those guys at big numbers.
I mean, give me Boston Scott anytime plus 450. I mean, I think he's there in the red zone, and they're going to. I mean, like you said, he's a touchdown monster. So I mean, not monster, but he's definitely there for scoring touchdowns. And give me plus 450 anytime on Boston Scott if we're going deep into
Oh,
anytime
I like it.
touchdowns.
I like it.
I guess that's not that deep, but
It's not that deep. No.
yeah, it's better. I mean, it's obviously behind Gainwell and Valdez Scantley and Juju Smith-Schuster. I don't think Juju's getting a touchdown. No way. Get Kadarius Toney is plus 235. I mean, that is risky. Boston
Yeah,
Scott's a little better at 450 for money wise.
I agree. I like it. Let's talk about MVP. We're just kind of going rapid fire
Yeah,
here. I think it was last year you and I talked about, you know, if you like the underdog in the game, it's almost better to bet the the underdog's MVP or quarterback as MVP.
yeah,
Um, it just makes more sense because you get a better number, and that's also the case here. I believe
I think
Hurts. I'm sorry.
I think that last year the number was so much different. I mean, we're talking about 120 and 125 between those two. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? It's just
yeah,
like I think last time it was negative odds for
yeah.
what's his name, LA quarterback.
Hmm. In my theory is if you think the Chiefs are going to win the game, I mean they're plus 105 on the money line, but if they win the game, it's probably going to be the case where Mahomes is the MVP. I
Yeah,
mean his MVP numbers at plus 125. Um, and then also going the other thought here is who is on the table to be MVP besides the quarterbacks in this game? I've had a tough
yeah.
time rationing anyone to be the MVP that's not one of these two guys.
I mean, it has to be each time like that the spread difference is so different between the quarterbacks and anybody else. And I just had to make a note of that. Like, it's just not even close. Like, I mean, obviously the quarterbacks are going to win the MVP, so putting the money on these is just so incredibly risky. I mean, we're talking about plus 1200 is the closest one to any other Jalen or Patrick. I mean,
Yeah,
so really we have to think that I mean, it's got to be one of those quarterbacks, right?
yeah. The one that if I have a few dollars laying around, I would maybe think about Miles Sanders. If it's a game where he has 110 yards rushing, two touchdowns, 30 yards
I
receiving.
still, they don't even make it that way anymore, though. Like, even with a game like that, the quarterback has had an even better game. You know what I mean? Like, and they're just, it's almost like it's a token that they're going to get the MVP. And when was the last time a non-quarterback? I have to Google that, but
Last
last time a
year,
non-quarterback. What was
last
it?
year,
Oh, it was Cooper.
it's Cooper. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
All right. Did we talk about that
Actually,
last time?
we did, we did. Actually, I hit that one live last year. I hit him live at plus 800,
Yeah.
which
Wow.
is pretty good. But no, my other thought was it's been a few years since a defensive player won. It was Von Miller. But we've got two really game wrecking ends in this game, and Chris Jones and Hassan Reddick, who've just been awesome. Both of them have been this whole playoffs. I mean, maybe it's a case one of them gets 3, 4 sacks, a strip sack, something like that. I'm not going to go that route, but I could see someone making a case
Yeah.
again. I don't think this is a much of a market for me this year. Um,
Stay away from this one for
but
sure.
yeah,
I'm not a fan of the MVP this year.
what else do you have that we wouldn't have covered yet?
Um, I wrote down a novelty type of prop, and it is for either team with a game-winning walk-off field goal. I
Hmm.
really think that this is going to come down to the end, and whoever has the last possession will kick a field goal at the end of the game. And it's only plus 1,000, which is, I mean, wow, like for $10 on that, you got $100, and really I think there's a possibility that we are going to see like not a shootout, but like a game where it's just battling, just two
Mhm.
great quarterbacks and decent defenses and great head coaches, great coaching staffs to bring the game to the end and kick a field goal at plus 1,000.
So walk-off field goal means it's got to be at the buzzer.
Yeah, normal time, not the overtime.
But so if it's like Harrison Butker makes a 40-yarder with 12 seconds left, that's not a
That's a
walk-off.
walk-off. That's a
Is it?
walk-off. Yeah,
Is
yeah.
it?
It's just ending the game, right? Hold on, let me see. Any player, either team to kick a game, walking off field goal at end of normal time. I would think 12 seconds would have to be a
I don't.
walk-off, right?
I don't think so. I think it's got to be like
I
zeros.
guess I guess it doesn't tell me. Why would it be plus 1,000 if that was the case? If that was the case, it'd be like rare, right? Like 3 seconds into it. No, I mean it's
We'll have
gotta
to get
be
to
at
the
least
bottom
the
of that
final. Yeah, okay, fine. I haven't looked deep enough on that.
one.
What are the rules here, DraftKings?
I got successful 2-point conversion, just any 2-point conversion in the game, plus 245.
Okay,
Absolutely, yes.
okay.
With how scoring is now, and there's just games with more wonky. We got to go for two here. They're down 11. You got to score a touchdown. Got to make it three. Plus, both these coaches have no reservations going for two. I've seen the Eagles go for
Yeah.
two even in normal circumstances. So I love that one at plus 240. I also have Tommy Townsend.
Another.
Sorry, let me get
Yeah.
this one. Tommy
Go ahead.
Townsend, the Chiefs punter, over 46 and a half yards on his first punt. Um, I love that because Tommy Townsend he's been averaging. I don't know if it was over that, but he's been consistent. Percent of his punts to go that long have been over 50% this year, and it's and um, obviously a stadium that is conducive for. There's no weather inside Glendale, so like that number.
Yeah.
What else?
I moved on to like these. I was really interested in these DK square bets. Okay. And so I started deep diving into that. And, the most common square numbers are 0, 3, and 7. Okay. And in this opportunity, you get to pick the numbers that you want instead of it just being a drawing and you just get a square and you get stuck with a 2 or, 5 or 4 or whatever. And the ability to say, okay, at some point the Eagles going to have 0 and the Kansas City are going to have 7 or vice versa and whatnot. I think you put, $10 on 5 or 6 of those one combinations like that, and you got to win at some point where you're winning some of your. I mean, we're talking about plus numbers only. So at 3 and 7 they're plus 550 and plus 650. I mean, they're great odds to think that one of those numbers are going to hit out of 5 or 6 options that you can choose. Maybe you're winning money back, maybe you're getting multiple ones at one time, and I really like the idea that you can pick those numbers and they're gearing you towards that, obviously, but picking multiples of those and spending $50 and hitting one of those at plus 500, getting money back, or maybe even more, getting more back is certainly valuable.
Hmm.
Any quarter.
It's a good strategy. It's a good strategy.
I was looking into those earlier today because I bet some. I did a square. I got me 4 numbers on squares, and I have no idea what numbers I got yet.
Nice. The one of the game props that I like, and you'll probably see which way I'm headed here. Although I'll give my official pick later in the week. Um, this feels like a good value number to me. KC to win and both teams to score 20 points or more is at plus 250. And if you even thought it's even going to be higher scoring, KC to win and both score 30 points or more plus 900. I don't know how both teams don't score 20 points in this game. It just feels like an over kind of game. It feels like
Yeah,
minimum 27-24. without even thinking that's a crazy amount of scoring. So I like both those as sort of a ladder play. Like if you like KC to win, you think it's going to be a that, or it could be a 37-34, whatever it is. I like both those, and you can probably see which way I'm headed with.
Yeah, and I was kind of getting into the whole like I'm seeing you can first quarter, I mean I'm sorry, first half and then winner bets and the tie at the first half and then picking the winner is at plus 1900 for Eagles and plus 2000 for Kansas City. So to think that maybe they're going in at halftime tied and then a winner, that's certainly a bet that I liked as well. But even
Mm-hmm.
Eagle was plus 400 and Kansas City was plus 165. So looking at where who we think is going to win the first half and who we think is going to win the second half, I'm all about it being a tie going into halftime. I
Hmm.
really think that is a possibility and the payout is good there.
I like it. Eagles have been probably the best first half team in the league
Yeah.
this year.
So
Yeah.
that's why even Eagles and then Kansas City or Eagles is still
Mm-hmm.
a worthy plus bet. I like Eagles in the first half too, to tell you
Mm-hmm.
the truth.
Novelties. I think we had a long discussion about Gatorade color last year. Did you get that one right?
I don't think so. I think it was blue. I'm not sure what it
It was
actually
blue.
came out to be.
It was
It
blue.
was blue. Okay. I think I was saying blue.
It's been blue the
Can't
last
remember what I
two
said.
two Super Bowls and four of the past eight. The current favorite is orange at plus 350. It's like yellow slash green and blues at plus 400. I don't have a good feel about this one. I would say just default to blue, but I'll probably pass on the Gatorade.
Yeah, I also like coin toss result. Like they play even odds, either whether
Yeah,
it's heads or tails, and
yeah,
tails never fails. Like,
for sure,
I like that
for sure,
novelty bet. That's a good one.
for
And
sure.
but then they also do like Chiefs to win the coin toss and then win the game. And
Yeah,
even no, I mean obviously no would be the
yeah,
favorite there, but um
yeah,
just oh man, I mean they get the coin toss, so
yeah.
team to win the coin toss is also even odds as well. But I like the coin toss one. It's not bad.
I
Where
think
did the octopus Gatorade color? There it
I
is,
th-
yellow
I,
green.
th-
Okay.
I think last year I discussed the anthem and the length of the anthem. Not a lot of value on it this year. Chris Stapleton's doing the anthem. Um, Over 1.5 or 119 and a half seconds. That's minus 250. And seven of the last 10 have gone over 2 minutes. So I don't think this is going to be under. I don't think you can bet the under at plus 200. So I don't think there's a lot of value in betting the anthem period here,
Yeah.
which is kind of disappointing. Um, the only other one that I had written down was the odds of the first coach's challenge, whether it's successful or not. I know most NFL coaches are terrible at challenges and actually challenging plays that are either a smart challenge or what have you. So I have unsuccessful first challenge at plus 105. I like that.
Yeah. One other thing I wrote down, which was odd, was so at an alternate spread, you can get plus 1 point at 110, negative 110 for the Kansas City, but the main line is plus 1.5 at negative 110. So if you're going to bet the spread, it seems like you get a better opportunity if you just do an alternate spread at you get an extra half point. They're giving you the
Mm-hmm.
same odds at 1 point versus 1.5 points,
Mm-hmm.
which you can lose that way, obviously, if it loses by 1 point evenly. But I think you just get an extra value if you just pick these alternate spread, especially on that Kansas City one. There's other ones too I was looking at, but definitely go to the alternate spreads if you're looking at playing the spread instead of money line.
Are you doing any DraftKings contests for the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna. Yeah, I got a group one that we do like 10 or 12 people, however many people get into it. And that one's $10, but it's just those people. And then I'll certainly do a big time one and hope that I can pick the right players.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
probably go Kelsey heavy. I think Kelsey's certainly going to get his, but just betting those over unders on yards and receptions, which is too tricky with their defense. And maybe, I was just looked at MVP. It's plus 900 for a tight end, and oof, I don't know. Could could this be Kelsey's game?
It could be. Could be. Maybe if it's a lot of short passes and he makes a lot of plays after the catch, a lot of yards at the catch, a couple touchdowns. Could be. I'm not. I just can't. I just don't think the number is good enough for me.
Yeah. Plus 900. Was it 900? Yeah, for Kelsey or tight end, I should say, winning an MVP.
What about? Are you interested in any of the Rihanna as a halftime performer prop bets, such as dress color or who's going to make an appearance on stage with her? Jay-Z right now minus 200 to make an appearance on stage with Rihanna. I got to think that's probably going to happen. So I wouldn't want to take that, but um, I would say her dress color at pink at plus 1200. That feels like value. And by the way, I don't see this on DraftKings. That this was on another book.
Okay.
One I don't have access to, but um, so ridiculous. I love them. I love them.
No, I don't have any. I have no knowledge of what prop bets are for the halftime show. So
I
pink. What other dress colors were there? Black,
uh,
red.
pretty much everything. Well, black's a
Red.
favorite at minus 154, but yeah, pink's down the board. I think we could see something flashy from Rihanna. You can bet on the first song that she's going to perform. Um, that's got to be a tough one. Right now,
Yeah.
Diamonds is the favorite there at plus 400. I'm not aware of that one, but yeah, a lot of Rihanna stuff out there you can bet on for the Super Bowl halftime show. Rich, anything I didn't cover that you might have?
I'm liking the first sack. Okay, so you got Hassan Reddick at plus 300 and Chris Jones at 550, and I think one of those two are certainly going to get the first sack, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go with Chris Jones getting a sack on Jalen Hurts at plus 550.
Good number. It's a good number. Yeah, and I think if you build any same game parlays that you could include them getting over a half sack each, I would do it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the sacks he's at 0.25 over under, so I mean, even a half sack pairing that with parlay is certainly a good bet.
Did you know Frank Clark is third or fourth all time in postseason sacks? I didn't know that until last week. And my kid and I were talking about it, and we were talking about Frank Clark, and I was like, he's like a historically great defensive player.
Okay,
In the postseason. In the postseason. I
yeah.
mean, it was like Bruce Smith, he's up there and guys like that, and then Frank Clark's there. It was just kind of weird to see.
Well, he's at plus 800 first sack.
Yeah.
His over under is 0.75. So yeah, I think he's going to get a sack before Chris Jones does for sure. Yeah, I
All
think
right,
that's
Richard.
about all I got.
We covered a lot. There's a lot we threw out there. You may hate it, you may like it, but we threw out some ideas. If you get into it this week, you want to bet some. Um, we gave you maybe some with some juice, not as much juice. We gave you some long shots. We'll see how it all turns out. What's your game pick, Rich? Since I won't have you on later in the week for the actual game discussion.
I like Philly at negative 1.5 for sure.
Oh, you like Philly? Okay,
I
okay,
do. The
okay.
defense is just a little bit better.
It is. It has been. Okay. All right, I like it. Well, Rich, thanks for coming on for the second year talking props, and we'll have to have you on again to talk about something else at some point.
Golf, maybe? Golf?
Golf, maybe.
I haven't been following golf much. I need to. I miss it.
Yeah, yeah. Justin Rose is gonna try to pull it off tomorrow. We'll probably talk about that tomorrow night. So take it easy, buddy. We'll talk to you later.
You too. Good talking, Phil.
All right, guys. Your best bets on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Check out our Super Bowl show later in the week, and of course our golf pod as well. Thanks for listening as always, and we will catch you next time.